Riot was premiered by Martin Garrix at Ultra Miami this year and was released on his record label Stamped Records. The vocal is actually written by Martin Garrix himself alongside Bon and Albin Nedler and produced by Brooks and I. Brooks is on tour right now, so sadly he couldn't join for this video, but we have a video coming together very soon, and luckily we made most of the song on the computer here in Norway, so I'm able to go through at least most of the song for you guys. We're also giving away all the samples from the song that you can download below for free, of course. Follow me on Instagram if you're wearing clothes right now, and as always, one of the first 500 commenters will win a free mastering done by me, but I'll shut up now, let's dive into it. Okay, so let's start off with the main elements of the drop. This is, as I said, it's not the final project, but it's pretty close. This is the main lead. This is how it sounds without anything on. So we pitched that pluck from Vengeance up 9. We added a ton of effects, and I'm gonna go through each and every one of them now. So we start off with this one. It's automated, the wet dry, so it's a vocoder. It gives it sort of a weird alien sounding feel. You can hear it better with the reverb activated as well, I think. You can hear it when it increases, that it really gives the sound some more character. Sounds sort of hollow, and we really like that vibe. So we added the RC20 after that to give it some distortion, some noise. So it sounds really weird right now, and all of these are again automated, the wet dry of this one as well. As you can see with the magnitude button. So you kind of get more and more noise and less more, everything is automated. So it sounds really chaotic in a sense. We also add this. It's just a short slap delay, which is automated as well. We push it really hard with a distortion. Sorry for your ears. Yeah, that's interesting actually. It's sort of the melody that we did as an A part and a B part. So in the first part here, the delay is on. This one, the echo boy is on. You can see here. And then it shuts off. So you have those two distinct things. But yeah, then we add the reverb after the distortion. Just short room reverb, just gives it some space, something to play with. We also automated that a bit. Cut out the lows. But yeah, and we also automated the highs so that it's not that harsh in the beginning. And then it's sort of harsh on the B part, if that makes sense. We also automate this. In the first part, there are some more highs to each side, and then it drops off midway. We do the same with the CQ, so that we add some highs back in the first part, because we cut out some here, because the vocal synth made it sound a bit harsh, but we wanted still some highs, so we just put that on again, and it sort of worked. And just a regular sidechain. That's pretty much it. We have this pitch bend as well. So it goes womp, womp, womp. Which gives it some movement and some flow. But that's actually the main part of the lead. We added one more layer later, but that's on Brooks's computer in the Netherlands, so I can't show you guys that, but this is the main part at least of the sound. And now for the bass. This sounds like this together. It sort of sounds like a fart, but we just liked it. It's actually made from the init patch in Diva. This is how it sounds without effects. It's just the init patch, and we worked the amps a bit, so it sounds, well, like this. This is how it sounds, but down in the octaves below. And when we also overlap the notes like this, it gives it this sound, which we liked. But with the effects, distortion, and the reverb, It sort of gives it like a gritty feeling that we really liked. So it's pretty much a reverb, which is a bit weird to do on the bass, but it just gave it some epicness. And the distortion as well really crushed it. But yeah, we just cut out some of the highs, cut out a lot of the lows, so we put in a sub to, well, do the sub for that sound. It's a pretty standard sine wave sort of sound. That's pretty much the main elements of the drop, and it sounds like this together. And then we bring in a clap. It sounds a bit ugly. It sounds like this. This is without effects. Yeah, we didn't even cut out the lows here, but I don't know, it just fit well in the sound space. It sounds a bit messed up and crushed and everything, but it had the same character, the snappy, bright, gritty thing. I think we might have changed the kick actually later on. This is the kick from I Don't Speak French. You can download all the samples from all my songs in the description, by the way. This is one of those. Just a little plug, but I think we might have changed it actually, so that might not be a good argument to download them. But this is how the kick and clap sounds in the mix. What really helped with getting the kick to punch was these things. You can probably not hear it that well, but it's sort of a bit crushed noise. Just adds some spark to the kick to make it pop through, and we also use this one into the kick, so it sounds like. So it sounds like this. You have this thing, just a short to give it some groove into the next part. We have some very basic white noise on the first beats, everything. The pans around just a little bit, but it's pretty basic stuff. It's a very simple drop actually. I think that's pretty much it for the main part. We have these things coming in. This siren, because that fit with the Riot theme of everything. So that's automated, the pitch is automated here. And the volume is automated here, so it stops in between. So it doesn't take up too much space when it shouldn't. And we have this creative sort of pitch noise here, which made it stand out to the ear a bit more in the mix. And it ends up going down at the end of the bar to really fill it out. It's just a washed out siren sort of sound. It sounds like this without effects. Already sounds sick in my opinion. But we just added a lot of reverb, a lot of distortion, and we did the trick with boosting the sides of the highs to make it really appear big, and just added some sidechain. That was pretty much it. Now for this part where the vocal comes in after, sort of the after C part of the drop. We only just begun. We rebels on the run. Just added some additional groove because it felt a bit stale with just the bass line and the vocal. Just from some loops. We only just begun. We rebels on the run. Together we could start a riot. It's just to help the song move forward, really. We thought it could have been a bit too much, but it ended up working, in our opinion, at least. And we also have to really drive home the Riot theme. Just the bomb siren sound effect that we found somewhere. With 100% reverb, and it also pans around a bit. So that's pretty much it for the drop, I think. Let's dive into the breaks. So the song starts off with this. Well, first and foremost, it's this thing. The sample's name is Sick Bird. So it's probably like a reversed bird or something, and it goes into a bit of an interesting thing. This is a reverb reverse of the pluck, but this is where we had the pluck do like a long release, and then we reversed that, so it's like a constant sound instead of a reverb, which made it a bit thicker that we found. And we have this penny drop, which is panning around quicker and quicker to create some instant drive. But the song in general starts really right off the bat, like a lot of energy with this clock ticking. We have some claps going from the start. I don't know if you kept that, I can't remember. But yeah, it starts off really aggressively, at least, with this pluck. So we just have this basic ARP in the beginning. It's pretty basic, but we felt it sounded epic when we made this thing, like with the pitch glide. We were like, oh yes. That sort of really made it stand out to us, at least. And we're automating the decay, so like the notes are increasing in length, which is an interesting trick to use for yourself because it instantly creates movement without you having to do too much. And we also have a reverb, which we used later on in the track as well. We also have a string. Coming in for ambience. Okay, so it's a pretty standard clap, nothing special here. But here we really start to get some energy going with this reverse, another of these, a bit louder this time, and the vocal reverse as well. We only just begun, we rebels on the run, together we could start. With a big crash. And we finally get some sub into it, which really gives it that character from going to a light pluck to like a boom. It sounds like this, the sub thing. It's like a thing you shouldn't really do, but it's a sub with 100% reverb on it, so. But it just sounded good, in our opinion at least. And we have obviously the vocal coming in. There's a lot of things going on with this one, but together we could start a run. We actually had the entire instrumental pretty much done, and Brooks sent it to Garrix, and he sent us this vocal, which was like, this is going to be perfect for the track, and it fits super well, and it sounded great from the get-go. So we didn't really have to do a lot here. We did some creative stuff with like a vocoder, but I'll show that later. But this is how it sounded. We only just begun, we rebels. Really clear and nice, so we didn't have to do a lot. We only just begun, we rebels on the run. But we definitely mixed it again later, so I don't know if this is gonna help too much because it doesn't sound that good as it is now. It's pretty much just a reverb, some vocal synth for some creative effects, some distortion, and cut out some notches of some resonance stuff. We only just... Yeah, I think we mixed it again later. I'm gonna do a video on vocal mixing, I think, soon, if you guys want that. And I can go more into depth into how to mix vocals then, because I don't think this is gonna help that much, to be honest. And in this build-up, here we actually changed a lot. This was probably the biggest thing that we did when I was down in the Netherlands and we finished up the track. We had like a chord change, and it just, yeah, something that Brooks came up with because he's crazy in his head and so good at chords, and yeah, he's amazing. And yeah, we don't have that in this project file because we did that later, but I can show you at least some of the elements that we have here. So we have this thing, which I think we removed, but it's pretty much just a chord synth and a standard build. I think this is the part where we changed the most. When I was down in the Netherlands, we added a lot of heavier snares and better stuff, really, because it was pretty rough what we had here from the get-go. But yeah, what we did, at least with the vocal here, right before the drop, it's just lots of risers and snares and everything. Nothing interesting there. Was that we added a vocal synth here and a vocodex. That's how it sounds without, and this is with. So it's pretty much just automating like a really deep layer of the voice, so it sounds deeper and more aggressive. And we also have a pitch down, like a vroom. I I think it's just a deep blue tape stop. But let's go into the second verse, because there's a lot more interesting stuff to talk about there, I think. So it ends here. And we go straight into the ARP, but with a lot of reverb, so it sounds completely different. It's a new part of the track, and we have a lot of automations going to make that sound okay. The biggest thing here, I think, that gives it that epic feeling is that we automated the sides. So we boost the sides and then it goes back down, so it gives it that flowy feel with a lot of reverb, obviously, and some pitch glides. The fun thing is when it stops here, it goes completely dry, everything else drops out, and we have this. I at least think that's one of the coolest part of the tracks, when it's just a total contrast, which I at least really liked, and Brooks as well. And it's also interesting what we did, which was a trick that Brooks showed me with this automation thing, where you automate the automation and it's like gradually drops into the rhythm of the pluck. So we have this. It sounds pretty flawless. Not entirely perfect, but it sounds pretty good. So it ends up following the ARP rhythm, which I thought was a pretty cool trick. And it pans around as well. And we have just this from the first verse as well. And the interesting thing is the switch up that we do here. Because what happens here is we change the chords. So the plucks end up changing. It goes down there and then back and then here. Yeah, it sounds like that. We added a sub kick to keep it grooving. The clocks are panning to either side and also pitching up. Like this long down sweep thing. Yeah, we have a lot of sounds here. So I think there's a lot to look at here, because we have a lot of automations going that really make this part work, because it's pretty boring, there's not a lot of elements, but we really try and use the elements that we have to really make them stand out a lot. So this is, for instance, the first one. This is the pitch. So it follows this pitch band. It also pans around with this one. That really gives it a lot of movement. The pad that we're using for like a sort of mid bass, or maybe it's the driving bass. Yeah, it's a driving bass. We use the cutoff a lot to give it some movement. And that really helps drive it forward as well. We have some pitch down here. Lots of these small things in this short volume automation. Gives it sort of a half beat feel to it. This is without. And then with. Just gives it a little bit more groove. And we add these claps on top to give it some anthem-y feel. But yeah, and we have these end rhythms where we have these cinematic sort of stuff helping out make it sound better. We have these percussion triangle sort of stuff to help it pop out from the mix. And on the other ones we have some plucks just doing some things, helping out with a secondary melody, sort of answering the melody. That's how it sounds without. And it's just a lot of reverb and delay, as always. And it's cut out pretty heavily. So we have a riser going the entire way, which I find when it's really low in the background, it can add a lot to just the ambience and pulls the track forward, sort of. And we have a cowbell, as always, pitching up. and the Riot's pitching up as well. So everything is sort of moving into this. I think Brooks has done it in some of his tracks, but what we did here was sort of have a 4-beat break to give it some breathing space into this new part of the song. Some effects. And this part is actually just a drop, but with a lot more reverb, and we added one synth, which is actually the siren in the second part of the drop. Tried to match that with the pitch bend, and we also put the second part, the B part of the melody, an octave higher. And we automate a lot of reverb. So it sounds really weird, but I think it sounds good in a weird way. Because we really wanted that typical EDM-y breakdown with lots of melody, but wanted to try and avoid too many like supersaws and wanted to make it sound a bit more like the drop, and that's what we ended up with. We just filter it out and it's into another build-up. I honestly think that's it. Please leave us any comments if you have them for questions and we'll reply to them ASAP. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, show it to your cats, dogs and families, because you have more families than one. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching.